When I got my first software job, I had to learn how to use Git to collaborate with my team. And it was confusing and frustrating at first, but as my coworkers came by and showed me how to use it, and as they got me through some frustrating times over time, I started to get the hang of it, and I started to code efficiently with it and see the benefit of using Git, especially in a team environment. And so when I started coaching new aspiring programmers, I wanted them to start using Git as soon as possible. And as I was doing this, I started to notice the same mistakes being repeated over and over and over again. And I was getting kind of frustrated with those mistakes, but I realized that they're still new to using Git. And so in this video, I'm going to be talking about the rookie mistakes that I saw. And hopefully, as you watch this video, you don't make the same mistakes as well. So my name's Henrik, and I'm here to help you learn the foundations of software development. So let's get started. Before we begin, if you're still getting the hang of Git or feeling unsure how it all fits together, I put together a free PDF guide called my Get Started Guide. It's a beginner-friendly roadmap with clear steps and links to videos that walk you through everything from cloning to pushing your code. I made it specifically for people who don't want to feel lost when using Git. You can grab it for free in the link in the description. Okay, the first rookie mistake is making commits to your main branch. With every repository, there's a main branch. Here's a quick diagram from Git's website. So say you have a repository and then you have this main branch. What I've seen new programmers do is that they would make commits to this main branch. So every time they did some new code or made some developments to their code, they would just commit to this main branch. Ideally, what you should do is you should make a branch whenever you want to do something new to your code. And the reason why you want to do this is because you don't want to mess up your main branch. Your main branch is like the golden branch. It's the version of your code that is the best version of your code. And when you're doing development, you can actually mess up your code. And so you don't want to mess up your code in the golden branch, in the best branch. You want to mess up your code here in this in this sandbox. So you can think of this like a sandbox. You want to do your testing here, you want to do your code development here, and then once you verify that everything is good and you want to bring it to the main branch, that's when you merge it to the main branch. There are some teams who would commit to the main branch, and I think the idea behind that is they want to do their development faster, so they don't want to deal with creating a branch and then making sure everything works and then merging it back, so that kind of wastes some time. But I think this is a lot safer approach to do, and it can get kind of confusing if there's a lot of developers who are pushing to the main branch all at the same time, and I think that can pose some risk to corrupting or messing up the main branch. I think it helps to show you an example. So I have this rookie repository. This is the name of the repository. There are no files in it yet. And so I'm going to show you how I would use this repository and not commit to the main branch every time, but rather create a branch, do my development there, and then merge it to the main branch. Okay, so here's the first version of the code. So like I said, if you're just setting up your repository, it's okay to commit directly to the main branch then. So let's do that. Okay, there you go. So there's calculator.c. Here's my commit message, add initial calculator.c. Okay, so instead of committing to the main branch, I'm going to create a new branch for my code development. So what we do here is we do git checkout -b and then add math ops. And what I'm going to do in this branch is I'm going to add more math operations to my calculator. Okay, so now I'm going to add difference and then product. And so I'm going to do the difference of these two numbers and then also do the product of these two numbers. So I'm going to add these two lines of code. And then if I do a git status, I see here that calculator.c got modified. So I'm going to add that change. Then I'm going to and then if I do a git status again, you can see that this is a change that I'm going to commit. Now I'm going to commit it, git push origin. Now I'm not going to do main, I'm going to I'm going to use this branch that I created. And so there you go, I created a new branch for this operation. Now if we go back to our repository and reload this, you're going to see that the main branch hasn't changed. So the change I made is in add math ops. And so there you go. So my change is in this new branch, add math ops, and then what I can do is I can check to see the changes that I made. And if I like it, then I'm going to merge that into the main branch. So what I can do is I can go here, go to pull requests, and then it says here, add math ops had recent pushes 1 minute ago. I can do a compare and then do a pull request. So I'm going to open a pull request, and then this is the title of the pull request. And then I'm going to create this pull request, and here's the diff. So you can see the change that I made in this branch, and then I can review it. Now, if you open a pull request, that doesn't mean that the main branch is changed right away. You can review the changes that were made. You review it here, and here you can review all the commits that were made in this branch. Then you can go back to the conversation, and if you like the change that you made, you can go ahead and merge the pull request. And then pull request successfully merged and closed. So now our changes in the add math ops branch is now being merged to the main branch. And so you can see it here merged from add math ops into main. And then if you go to your code again, and then you see the main branch here, you can actually look at the commits that have happened. So you can actually see the initial commit here, the add, subtraction, and multiplication, and then the merge pull request here. Then if you look at the code, calculator.c, so now we see the change that we made in that branch, and now it's part of main. And right now it may not seem like this process is that important because these are really small changes. And if you have a really small project, and maybe if it's your first project, you can go ahead and commit directly to main. But as your code becomes more complex, you want to make your changes incrementally through these branches. So you make a branch, do your development there, and if you like what you did, or if your teammates like what you did, they can approve it, and then you can merge it to the main branch. And so the idea here is you want the main branch to be clean and perfect. All right, the second rookie mistake that I've seen people make is that they would make commits, but these commits don't really have much meaning. And so an example of one commit that I've seen over and over and over again is that someone would do a lot of development and then they would put it all under one commit. And so maybe they code like 5 different features, and then they make the commit for all 5 of the features in one commit, and then the commit message would be like made some changes, and that commit message isn't very helpful. And the reason why you want your commit messages to be more meaningful is because you're going to be looking at your code and you want to see the history of your code base. Seeing these kinds of commit messages isn't going to tell you the story of how your code came to be. 3 helpful guidelines that will help you make more meaningful commits. The first one is, of course, whenever you've coded something meaningful, like you've implemented a fix, or you've implemented a new feature, or you've cleaned up some code, every time you've done something meaningful, that's a good indicator or a good time to commit those changes. A second helpful guideline is that you want your code to be working for all of your commits. It should be in some sort of working state. And so if someone checks out one of your commits, the code that they check out should at least be able to compile and at least to be able to run. And third helpful guideline that helped me a lot was to try to limit your commit messages to just 50 characters. A lot of times I've seen new aspiring programmers, they write a whole paragraph for their commit messages, or they write some super long sentence. But if you can constrain your commit message to just 50 characters, then that will make your commit history a lot easier to read. So the main hope behind this is that you want to be able to look at your commit history and see the story of how your code developed. And if there's a feature that you coded and you want to see all the changes that are associated with that feature, you want to be able to find that feature in your commit history and then click on that commit and be able to see all the changes you made that are associated with that feature. Okay, let's put this into practice. Let's create a new branch. I'm going to create a branch called user input, and in this branch I'm going to allow the user to be able to input the numbers that are going to be added or multiplied or subtracted, and then also add in which operation they would like to use. So let's create this branch. Okay, so instead of hard coding them here, so first we're just going to initialize it, and then we're going to ask the user to input the numbers. Okay, enter 2 integers, 5, 3. Okay, sum is 8, difference is 2, products 15. Okay, so that works. Now that's meaningful. So let's make a commit for this. So we git add calculator.c, then commit and -m. Okay, we can look at the log and see add initial calculator.c, add subtraction and multiplication, add user input for integers. Okay, now let's do the operation. Okay, I created a new variable result that will store the result because I'm going to print the result here in this switch case statement. And then OP is going to be a char variable that asks the user for the operation. And then after that, based on the operation, we will do the certain operation and then show the result. Okay, enter two integers, 6 and 7, do plus. Okay, 6 plus 7 is 13. Okay, now let's add calculator.c and then git commit add user input for operation. Okay, now I'm going to push this branch. Okay, so I created this branch. Now user input has my changes. Okay, reload this. Okay, the new branch is here in user input. It has a bunch of changes. Now let's make a pull request. Create pull request. Okay, you can see here that there are 2 commits associated with this branch, user input. It's add the integers, the user input for integers, add user input for operation. Files changed. These are all the changes that were made, and I like it. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to merge it. Okay, pull request successfully merged and closed. And I can actually delete the branch if I don't want to use it anymore, because you don't want to have too many branches in your repository. But I'm going to keep it there just for reference. So we have these 3 branches. If you look at main, now you look at this, and it has all of the changes that we just made. Okay, the last rookie mistake that I've seen is that developers would add all of the files in their folder to their repository. And this is a mistake that I've made in the past. And what you should really do is you should only add files like source files or configuration files or project files. You don't want to add like executables, or you don't want to add intermediate files like object files or files that change every time you build your code, or these auto-generated files. You don't want to add these to your repository, because every time you compile your code, say, for example, in what I've seen in my companies, is that if you change the location of where you're compiling this repository, it will change the intermediary files. So my coworker, he would clone the repository, he would get our code, he would compile it, and then if those executables and those intermediate files are committed to the branch, then those files will change, and so Git will say that these files have changed. But he didn't really make any changes to the code. He didn't make any updates to the code, and already Git is saying that there have been changes to the code base, which is not true. So ideally, you only want to have like the source files in your repository, because that it's only then when you would consider changes have been made to the code base. Okay, so say I'm a rookie Git user or Git rookie programmer. If you do an ls, you can see that there are all these files in the rookie repository directory. And so far I've only added this to the repository. But if I was a rookie, and I made this mistake too when I was in my company, I would add calculator by accident. And so if you add calculator, every time you compile the code, calculator may change a little bit, or this temp code runner file.c. These files are generated during the build process. So you only want to have calculator.c added to your repository. If you do a git status, you'll see these files all the time in the untracked files. A pro tip that you can do is you can add these files to a git ignore file, and so Git would just ignore these files. And this is really helpful if you want a quick way to ignore all the output files or all the executables. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So you can just create a file called .gitignore, and then we're just going to copy these. Maybe I'll just do a.out first. And then you just add a.out. And then if you do git status again, there's the .gitignore. So we're going to add the .gitignore. Okay, do git status again. Okay, so we've added .gitignore. And then now you can see that a.out is not showing up. And so we can add the rest of these to the .gitignore. Okay, so we added those. Let's add .gitignore again because we made some updates to it. So if you do a git status now, you can see that those intermediate files or those auto-generated files are not showing up. Okay, we need to create a new branch. We'll just call it gitignore branch. And then we're going to commit this change. And then push origin gitignore. Okay, now we have a gitignore directory. Now we can go to pull requests. We can merge that change in, create pull request. We like the change, so let's merge the pull request. Confirm merge. Okay, so now we can go to the main branch here, and now you can see the .gitignore is here. It has a commit message associated with it, and now you can check this out, 8 commits. So here you can see the story of how we developed this code base. A good rule of thumb for your repository is that you want to just add enough files that if someone were to clone your repository, like a teammate were to clone it, they should be able to compile that code and run the code. If they can do that, then you've added all the files that you need. Okay, so those are the 3 mistakes that I've seen a lot with new developers. The first one is committing directly to the main branch. The second one is making very vague commits that don't really have any meaning and are confusing, or maybe they have too much changes happening in one single commit. So you want to make your commits meaningful. And then the last one is only add files that are absolutely necessary for your code base to your repository. So don't add object files, intermediate files, or executables. Only add the source files, the project files, and the configuration files for your project. Before you go, if Git still feels a bit overwhelming, like I mentioned earlier in the video, I created a totally free resource called my Git Started Guide. It's a step-by-step PDF with videos that I've made that will really help you get Git into your workflow. You can download it below and keep building your confidence with Git. Alright, that's it for this week's video. I hope it really helped you out, and if it did help you out, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any other rookie mistakes that I didn't cover in this video, please let me know in the comment section. Or if there's a rookie mistake in here that you found that you're committing, then let me know in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you. And if you have any other questions, feel free to let me know in the comment section, and I'll be sure to answer you there. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.